Today, we're plunging into something that, well, it touches pretty much everyone.
That feeling, right?
Yeah, that feeling of being trapped.
Yeah.
You know, trading your time for money, constantly busy, but maybe not feeling truly productive or fulfilled.
And the source material guiding us today is the book Become Time Rich.
Right.
And this book really, it zeroes in on what the author sees as a core modern problem, getting stuck in the, quote, busyness trap.
The busyness trap. I know that one.
Yeah, where we often mix up being busy with actually being productive. And it leads us to trade away our most valuable asset, really, our time,
Yeah.
which you can't get back.
Non-renewable.
Exactly. All in exchange for income. And the author argues this can land you in a tough spot, like experiencing both financial and time poverty.
Wow. That makes so much sense. It really does feel like a hamster wheel sometimes, doesn't it? You just can't seem to get off.
Totally.
So our mission for this deep dive then, and this is tailored specifically for you listening based on the material you shared with us, it's to crack open this book. Pull out the key mindsets, the foundational laws, and the practical, like, boots on the ground tactics.
Yeah, the actionable stuff.
Exactly. The goal, to help you maybe escape that rat race, move towards becoming, well, time rich.
Which sounds pretty good.
Right. And maybe achieve more, maybe surprisingly, by doing less of the wrong things. And just ultimately taking back control of your time, of your life.
It's about pulling out those impactful nuggets
Yeah.
from the source material you gave us.
Okay, so let's unpack this first big idea, because the book kicks off with what feels like a really fundamental choice, a fork in the road. The contrast between the time-poor mindset and the time-rich mindset.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how deeply ingrained that time-poor mindset seems to be.
Yeah.
Just in society generally. It's often built on this belief that, like, busyness itself equals self-worth, or it validates you somehow. The author calls it the busy badge.
Oh, I totally recognize that. Like, wearing your exhaustion as a badge of honor. It's a thing.
It really is.
The book mentions that, quote, I think it's often attributed to Corrie ten Boom. If the devil cannot make you sin, he'll make you busy.
Wow.
It really hits home, doesn't it? How busyness can just be a massive distraction from what actually matters.
Absolutely. And this mindset, it often comes with that ingrained belief, if you want a job done well, you have to do it yourself.
Oh, yeah. Heard that one a million times.
Right. And there's this assumption that just constant activity grinding away equals wealth. But the author points out, pretty bluntly, that if sheer busyness created wealth, well, professions known for really demanding physical work, long hours, like nurses or construction workers, they'd be the wealthiest people around.
That's a really good point.
Busyness just on its own isn't the same thing as productivity. Not at all.
Right. That distinction is so crucial. It reminds me of that John D. Rockefeller quote they cite. He who works all day has no time to make money.
Yeah.
Because the time-poor mindset, it's mainly focused on working hard to make money.
Right.
But the key insight the book pushes is you need to work hard to scale time.
Scale time, that's the shift.
They value money over time, money time.
Correct. And this mindset also tends to equate wealth with just owning lots of stuff, physical things.
Right.
It leads to this reluctance to delegate tasks, give work away, and typically means you're very easy to find, very easy to reach, constantly reacting to the world, living kind of passively.
Okay, so if that's a trap, the time-poor way, how does the time-rich mindset break free? What does that look like?
It basically flips the whole script. It starts with this core belief that actually less is more.
Less is more. Okay.
Focusing intensely, strategically, on only the essential tasks. This mindset, it works hard to scale time, understanding that real progress, achieving more, it comes from doing less of the non-essential stuff and doing the right things more effectively.
That sounds like such a relief, honestly.
Doesn't it?
And the core value shifts then, right? It's valuing time over money, time money.
Exactly.
The book has that great quote from Morgan Housel here. Money's greatest intrinsic value is its ability to give you control over your time. That just nails it.
It really does distill it perfectly. The real wealth isn't the pile of possessions, it's the freedom, the control you have over your own time.
Okay.
And people operating from this mindset, they're described as going at the world. They're proactive, taking control, making life happen instead of just letting it happen to them.
Right, not just reacting.
No. They actively embrace delegation.
Yeah.
And crucially, they are easy to find, but strategically hard to reach.
Ah, okay. Explain that. Hard to reach.
They set boundaries.
Yeah.
And they defend them. They protect their focus time.
Easy to find, hard to reach. I like that framing. It's not about being, like, totally unavailable or hiding away,
No, not at all.
but being accessible on your terms, protecting that focus, that Naval Ravikant quote the book mentions about freedom. It's not just wealth, right?
Right.
It's about not being told what to do, what to wear, when you have to show up for work. It ties right into this sense of autonomy, real control that comes from valuing your time.
It really emphasizes that true wealth is that ultimate autonomy over your life, how you spend your hours.
So for you listening, as you hear these two mindsets laid out, the time poor versus the time rich, which one feels, I don't know, more familiar right now?
Yeah. Where do you see yourself?
Are you maybe wearing that busy badge without even realizing it? Are you maybe ready to sort of challenge that paradigm, start the shift?
Because just recognizing it, that's the essential first step, isn't it, towards actually changing it?
Absolutely. Which leads us perfectly into the first guiding principle the book lays out. Law 1, the law of definite purpose.
Right. This law basically says, look, becoming time rich, it isn't just about freeing up hours randomly or getting faster at everything.
Okay.
It's fundamentally about knowing what you actually want to achieve with that time you free up. It starts with having a clear, compelling, definite purpose.
Like a North Star.
Exactly. It acts as your guiding star. And just as importantly, it's a shield against all the distractions, all the shiny objects that could pull you off course.
The author shares his own story here, doesn't he, about feeling psychologically unemployable back in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, that deep dissatisfaction.
And then stumbling upon Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek and having that light bulb moment, realizing what he craved wasn't just more money, but genuine control over his time.
Yes, exactly. And that feeling, that craving, became the catalyst for him defining his definite purpose, which was pretty specific.
What was it again?
To accumulate $1 million in liquid net worth. And crucially, to deliberately craft a location-independent life, where he never, ever again had to ask someone for permission to take a vacation.
Wow, that's concrete.
He didn't just think about it either. He actually wrote it down in a paragraph, making it real, focusing on, freeing his wife from her job, escaping the conventional grind, being able to help friends and family, having that freedom to travel, and pursuing a mission he found fulfilling.
So it wasn't just some abstract goal like be rich. It was deeply personal, tied to real-world freedoms he wanted. And the book really hammers this home, right? This purpose has to be your dream, not something you're chasing because someone else wants it for you or expects it.
Yeah, he mentions living this twice in that Abu Dhabi job, obviously. But even for a time in the real estate business, he started with his dad. He felt he was operating within his dad's purpose, not his own. That's a tough realization.
For sure. So how do you find this purpose? Does it just hit you one day?
Not usually, no. The book argues it's something you actively cultivate. It's a process.
Okay.
For him, it involves setting that bold financial goal first, then recognizing the traditional career path just wasn't going to cut it, and then strategically embracing things like investing and acquiring scalable skills, sales, marketing, public speaking, things that allowed him to build businesses that could grow beyond just his own effort.
Okay, so it's iterative. And the book gives some practical tactics too, right? To help you cultivate your purpose.
It does. One is to listen to the whisper. Pay attention to that quieter voice, your intuition maybe, your heart, not just your logical brain. Robert Greene's book, Mastery, is mentioned here.
Listening to the whisper, I like that. What else?
Another is using self-assessment tools, things like a spiritual gifts test or Clifton Strengths or Myers-Briggs, whatever resonates, to understand your innate strengths, your natural wiring.
What comes easily to you? What energizes you?
Exactly. The author and his wife did this, found he was high in teaching and exhortation, she was high in administration and discernment, but they were low in things like hospitality or craftsmanship. Knowing your unfair advantages, as the book calls them, that's powerful.
Makes sense. Focus on your strengths.
And sometimes, moving towards your purpose, it requires having that uncomfortable conversation or taking some kind of bold action.
Ooh, the hard stuff.
Yeah. The story of Daniel in Perth is a great example. Working construction, wanting to shift into sales, feeling the pressure of becoming a dad soon.
Yeah.
Moving towards his purpose absolutely meant he had to take a bold, maybe scary step. It wasn't just going to happen.
It underscores that purpose isn't always like a smooth, easy path. It often demands real courage, facing difficult things. And the book leaves you with a really powerful exercise, doesn't it? To actually crystallize this.
Yeah, writing a one-paragraph essay, describing your desired life maybe 5-10 years from now.
Okay.
It needs to feel achievable enough that you believe it. but bold enough to actually inspire you, pull you forward.
And looking at people you admire can give you clues.
Yeah, what about them resonates? What lights you up? That written purpose then becomes your filter, your shield against distractions.
Okay, filter and shield. Which brings us right to the next principle, Law 2, the law of elimination. Ah, yes, elimination.
Okay, here's where it gets maybe a bit brutal, but necessary.
Yeah.
If Law 1 is about defining the masterpiece, your definite purpose, Law 2 is about ruthlessly chipping away everything that isn't part of that masterpiece.
Exactly. It's not about adding more to your plate. It's about taking things off. Subtraction over addition.
Like that Michelangelo story about sculpting David. Whether it's true or not, the idea holds.
Right. I simply remove the parts that weren't David. After you define your purpose, the absolute critical next step is identifying and saying a firm NO to everything that does not contribute to it.
Everything.
Well, within reason. But saying yes to every opportunity, every request, it just guarantees you'll be overloaded, strung out, distracted.
Because every yes is a no to something else.
Precisely. And that something else might be far more important for achieving your actual definite purpose.
Okay, but that's tough, right? How do you tell the difference between, like, essential obligations and things that are just holding you back? Noise. Yeah, it's not about abandoning core responsibilities.
Right.
You don't ditch your family.
Right, obviously.
But it is about being really honest about projects, commitments, maybe even possessions that actively slow you down or pull you away from your main goal, even if they have sentimental value, even if they have a history.
That must be incredibly difficult sometimes, like the author's own story, having to leave the real estate business he built with his dad, to fully focus on the online health business that truly aligned with his definite purpose. He describes that awkward conversation. But thankfully, his dad understood.
That kind of decision is hard. And the book points out why saying no is so hard for many of us.
Yeah.
Fear of disappointing people, lack of courage to be disliked. It references Fumitai Koga's work there. Or even this, like, hidden need to be needed, constantly playing the rescuer for other people's problems.
Oh, wow. The rescuer thing. That can definitely distract you from your own path.
It can too.
So, okay, how do we actually do this eliminating? What are the practical tactics the book suggests?
Well, there's the classic 5 out of 25 exercise, often attributed to Warren Buffett.
Right, list 25 goals, circle the top 5.
And then the other 20 become your avoid at all cost list.
Yeah.
Because they'll just distract you from the top 5 that truly matter. The author actually prefers a variation 3 out of 10.
Okay, simpler.
Yeah. And he shares this really powerful story about a mentorship student, Pamela. When she did this, she literally crossed out her job from her top 3.
Whoa!
Yeah. And he encouraged her to quit, like immediately, to pursue her real dream. That's bold elimination.
Super bold. Okay, what else? Less dramatic, maybe?
Sure. Identifying unused stuff, physical clutter in your house, digital subscriptions you don't use, and just mercilessly selling it or canceling it. Facebook Marketplace gets a mention for offloading physical things.
Decluttering your life, basically.
Exactly. And here's a clever one. Before you buy something new, make a quick list of all the subsequent decisions and maintenance that item will require.
Oh, that's smart. The hidden cost.
Yeah. It forces you to see the time and energy cost, not just the price tag. The examples really drive it home.
Like Mark Zuckerberg's wardrobe.
Yeah, simplifying decisions. Or the author's dad with mountains of paperwork for cars, boats, properties. Or the author's own Harley-Davidson story.
Right. The excitement wore off, became a burden.
Yeah, guilt for not using it. He felt relief selling it and putting the capital into shares instead. It freed up mental space and capital.
So the advice is, buy one fun thing at a time, use it well, be conscious of the ongoing commitment.
Pretty much. Don't let possessions possess you.
Okay. So, for you listening, pause and think for a second. What are you currently holding on to? Tasks, commitments, maybe even physical stuff that honestly doesn't align with your definite purpose? Or maybe actively detracts from it. What's maybe just one thing you could mercilessly strike out, starting today?
Because that ability to subtract, to eliminate, it's fundamental. It creates the space you need for what really matters.
Okay, so you define your purpose, you eliminate the distractions, now you've got this focused space. How do you use it effectively? That brings us to Law 3, the law of leverage.
Ah, leverage. Yes. This is about getting more bang for your buck, essentially. Achieving a disproportionately large output from a relatively small input.
Like Archimedes and his lever. Give me a lever long enough and I shall move the world.
Exactly that principle. The book even calls it the 9th wonder of the world, right up there with compound interest.
High praise. So how does it work in this context?
The author describes it basically as buying back your time. And he breaks it down into three main types of leverage: leveraging people, leveraging systems, and leveraging capital.
Okay, people, systems, capital. Let's start with people leverage. That sounds like delegation.
It is fundamentally mastering delegation, and it requires getting over that deep-seated, if you want it done right, do-it-yourself mentality we talked about earlier.
Right, the time poor trap.
Yeah. The book uses the analogy of Pharaoh Khufu building the pyramids. He didn't lift every stone himself, did he?
Definitely not.
No, he leveraged the time and labor of thousands of paid workers to achieve his massive vision. Hiring skilled people allows you to dramatically expand what you can accomplish without doing every single task yourself.
But the book notes they need buy-in, right? They have to care.
They do. It's crucial. The author shares his own struggles from his early property business, trying to do everything himself: consulting, sales, inspections, managing staff, strategy.
Exhausting just hearing it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And limiting, because he was trying to be strategically competent at everything, which leads to this great concept:
What's that?
becoming strategically incompetent.
Strategically incompetent. I love that. What does it mean?
It means deliberately choosing not to do everything. Delegating everything except your genius.
Your genius.
Yeah, what you're genuinely, uniquely good at and what you actually enjoy doing. Dan Sullivan's quote sums it up: delegate everything except genius.
Okay, so focus only on where you provide the most value and enjoyment.
Exactly. Russell Brunson at ClickFunnels is a good example. Realized he was a marketing genius, maybe not the best CEO day to day, so he shifted back into the marketing role where he excelled.
Makes sense.
And their author shares his very relatable IKEA furniture story. He admits he's strategically incompetent at building flat packs.
Join the club.
Right. So he happily pays someone who's better and faster, freeing up his time for things only he can do.
Okay, so this mindset shift helps you figure out your effective hourly rate, right?
Yeah.
And then delegate anything that costs less to outsource.
Precisely. The book lists common examples: booking travel, house cleaning, lawn care, grocery delivery, car washing, assembling furniture. Things many people can do, and it mentions platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, Airtasker for finding help easily.
So how do you structure this delegation?
The book suggests creating 3 lists. Practical step.
Right.
List 1, things you can't do,
Yeah.
you just lack the skill. List 2, things you shouldn't do, they're below your hourly rate or skill level.
Yeah.
List 3, things you don't want to do. You hate them, they drain your energy.
Right.
Delegate everything on those lists. Find someone else.
And there's a framework for the handover.
Yeah, the do, document, delegate framework. It's super actionable. First, you do the task once just to understand it properly.
Okay.
Second, you document the steps. Ideally, record a quick video, use Loom, Zoom, even just your phone showing how it's done.
Visual instructions. Smart.
Way faster than writing it all out. Third, you delegate the documented process to someone else, and then you just review their work. It's like that Cody Sanchez idea. You're basically paying to steal someone else's 10,000 hours of expertise.
Okay, document and delegate. That's people leverage. What about systems leverage?
Systems leverage is all about using predictable processes, software, technology, anything that automates or streamlines tasks. Brings consistency, efficiency.
Okay.
The book points out the whole universe runs on systems, right? Galaxies, our bodies. And technology gives us access to incredibly powerful systems today.
Systems even gets an acronym. Save yourself time, energy, and money.
Yep. And systems can be soft, like checklists, routines, maybe theming your days, or hard apps, software, automation tools.
Gotcha. Any examples from the book?
A really powerful one from the author's property business. They went from manual telemarketing, making maybe 1,000 calls a day, to using an automated dialer system that could hit 18,000 calls a day.
Wow, that's an 18x productivity jump.
Huge leverage from technology. Or in his network marketing business, he leveraged the company's existing tech systems for ordering, shipping, payments.
Right, so he didn't have to build all that infrastructure.
Exactly. It let him focus purely on marketing and sales,
Yeah.
building a repeatable income stream much faster.
What about everyday systems we can all use?
Oh yeah, the book highlights loads. Google, obviously, instant access to knowledge, no more digging through encyclopedias.
Thank goodness for that.
YouTube for learning practically any how-to skill for free. The author mentions a friend who believes using Google and YouTube effectively is more valuable than a business degree for practical skills today.
Interesting take.
Social media platforms like Meta are framed as massive leverage points too. A business card on steroids.
How so?
Building connections, finding communities, selling stuff, advertising businesses or personal brands globally, often at very low or even zero cost initially. The book notes something like 98.5% of seven-figure businesses use paid social media ads now. It's huge leverage for growth.
Okay. What else?
Other tools mentioned include Calendly for simplifying appointment scheduling, takes away all that back-and-forth emailing.
Lifesaver.
Spotify for podcasters, which lets anyone create and distribute a podcast basically for free using just a phone and a mic, like the author does for his Money Grows on Trees podcast. And even things like ChatGPT for leveraging AI for content creation, drafting emails, brainstorming.
So many tools out there.
The core idea is simple. If you do a task repeatedly, stop and ask, is there a system, a tool, some tech that could automate this or make it way easier? It goes back to that idea.
Rich spend money to save time.
And the poor often spend time to save money. Systems help you flip that equation.
Okay, people leverage, systems leverage. What's the third one? Capital leverage.
Capital leverage. This is maybe the most direct way to trade money for time. Spending money today in a way that buys you future time, usually by acquiring assets.
Okay, assets. Back to that Morgan Housel quote. Money buys control over time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Sharon Lecter's advice is fundamental here. You have to buy assets. Think of the cash flow board game assets are things that put money in your pocket predictably without you having to trade hours for it.
So leveraging capital means using money you have to build or buy these income-generating assets.
That's right. The author's business examples show this. Starting network marketing with just $500 seed capital, using $10 for a marketing system in his education business, using the bank's capital, other people's money, for a brick-and-mortar venture.
Right. Using capital strategically.
And you can also leverage capital by investing in existing scalable assets, like shares in public companies. Yeah. The incredible story of Charlie Munger turning $10 million into $400 million with just 2 investments. That highlights the sheer power of well-placed capital over time. Or, much more accessibly, just partnering with great businesses like Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway by buying their shares. Anyone with a brokerage account can do that.
So practical tactics here. Investing current capital in stocks or real estate via a broker. Building or buying a small business, even starting small. Or using profits from an existing business to consistently build an investment portfolio over time.
The book shares an example of a student who used capital from selling a property to buy into a gym franchise, kept his main job, grew the franchise, and used profits to grow a share portfolio simultaneously, combining different types of leverage.
That makes sense, combining them, which leads nicely into partnerships, right? The book talks about those as a form of leverage, too.
Exactly. Partnerships are presented as a really powerful way to apply all 3 forms of leverage, people, systems, and capital, often at the same time.
How do they work?
They're basically win-win collaborations, where different people bring their distinct resources to the table. Maybe one person has money, another has time or energy, someone else has specific skills, or a valuable network.
Complementary resources.
Yes. You combine them to achieve something none of you can easily do alone. The author gives loads of examples from his own journey.
Like what?
Network marketing. The partner company provided the systems and products. He and his wife provided the time, energy, network for marketing. Financial education business. Jay brought marketing and team. The author brought knowledge and skills. Events business. One partner was the event expert. The author brought capital and network. Brick and mortar. Friend had facilities and ops skills. Author brought capital and network, even his podcast. Phil brings time and tech expertise. Author brings resources and network.
So it's about finding those complementary fits.
Absolutely. And the benefits are clear. Way more productivity with less of your individual time. Access to broader networks, shared resources, shared brain power, and importantly, sharing the load, the challenges and the wins. The author calls it getting kicked together. You face the tough stuff as a team.
Facing obstacles together. So how do you actually create these partnerships? Is it all complex contracts?
Not initially. According to the book, it suggests a simple 3-step process.
Okay.
Step 1, have an initial coffee meeting. Share your vision, what resources you bring. Suggest a fair deal where everyone has some real skin in the game. Step 2, test and measure. Actually do some work together first. See if it works. See if you enjoy collaborating. Don't just jump into formal agreements.
Try before you buy, essentially.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Step 3, formalize it later. Put agreements in place after you've proven it's potentially profitable and crucially enjoyable to work together.
Build on trust first.
Exactly. The emphasis is on trust and mutual benefit, not just relying on contracts from day one. And you attract great partners by being reliable yourself, being useful, easy to work with.
Makes sense. Be the kind of partner you'd want to work with. So for you listening, think about where you could start applying leverage. People leverage. Are there tasks below your hourly rate you could delegate? Systems leverage. Are there repeatable tasks you could automate? Capital leverage. Could you start investing even a small amount? Or maybe explore a strategic partnership.
Because leveraging these forces, people, systems, capital, partnerships, it's absolutely essential if you want to scale your results without just working more and more hours.
Which brings us neatly to the final core principle, Law 4, prioritization and setting boundaries. This feels like it ties everything together, protecting the time and focus you've worked so hard to create. It's what the book calls going at the world.
Yes. This law is about shifting from just reacting to whatever emails land, whatever requests come in, and instead consciously, intentionally shaping your day, shaping your life.
Being proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. Avoiding that busyness trap means making deliberate choices about what you focus on, prioritizing the high-value, high-leverage activities. The author calls this your dominant list.
Your dominant list. I like that. So what tools help with this prioritization?
The book mentions classic ones, like the Eisenhower method. That urgent, important matrix helps you figure out what to do now, what to schedule, what to delegate, and importantly, what to eliminate entirely.
Right, the non-urgent, non-important stuff, just delete it.
Yeah. And then there's the Ivy Lee method, which the author seems to really like. He calls it his dominant list method.
How does that work?
Super simple. At the end of each day, write down the 6 most important things you need to accomplish tomorrow.
Just 6.
Just 6. The next morning, you start with number 1. Focus only on that until it's completely done, then move to number 2, and so on. Don't jump around.
Single tasking on the priorities.
Exactly. He apparently just uses his Notes app for this list and keeps his digital calendar strictly for actual appointments, time block stuff, not just a running to-do list.
That simplicity feels really powerful. Just focus on the next most important thing. Done. Next. Okay, so that's prioritization. What about the other half? Setting boundaries.
Ah, yes. Back to being easy to find but hard to reach.
Right.
It's about deliberately making yourself less accessible to protect your valuable time, your focus, your energy.
Okay. Why is this so important?
The book shares the story of John Mark Comer, who wrote about his own battle with busyness, constantly saying yes, mostly out of a fear of disappointing people.
Yeah, that fear is real.
And it led him to a state he called hurry sickness. And the author makes this profound connection. Just like wealth and constant busyness don't really coexist, he says, hurry and love cannot reside together.
Wow. Hurry and love cannot reside together. That's deep.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the fear driving this lack of boundaries is often about feeling irrelevant or missing out or being disliked if you're not constantly available 24/7.
Fear of missing out.
Yeah. Or maybe fear of being irrelevant. But the book is clear. Saying yes to everyone else's demands automatically means saying no to your own goals, your own priorities, your own time.
You can't do everything.
You can't. And interestingly, the book suggests that constantly rescuing others by being instantly available, it can actually deny them the chance to solve their own problems. Creates an unhealthy dependence sometimes.
Oh, hadn't thought of it that way. Okay, so tactics. How do we actually set these boundaries in practice?
First, dare to make yourself less accessible. Just resist the urge to respond instantly to every single notification, call, text, email, social media, ping. It doesn't mean ignore people, but you don't have to react immediately.
Control your inputs.
Exactly. Second, apply the hell yes or no rule. For commitments, invitations, new projects, if your gut reaction isn't a resounding hell yes, I definitely want to do this, then it should probably be a polite but firm no.
Alex Hormozy's advice is mentioned too, right? Say no until it hurts.
Then say no some more. It highlights how aggressively you might need to protect your focus initially.
Okay, what else?
Making the conscious decision to truly own your time. Using a default diary or themed days to structure your week can really help.
Like Monday's deep work day, Tuesday's meetings day.
Something like that. You schedule your focus work blocks, your meetings, but also your rest, your personal time, your family time, with rigid boundaries in your calendar. Treat them like important appointments. As Jocko Willing says, discipline equals freedom. The structure gives you freedom.
Discipline equals freedom, okay?
And managing your energy is just as vital as managing your time, maybe even more so. The book mentions using an app like Rise, though others exist to track your natural energy cycles, your peaks and dips throughout the day.
Okay, Why is that useful?
So you can schedule your most demanding, deep work during your natural high-energy periods and save the less focused tasks, emails, admin stuff for your energy dips.
Work with your body's rhythm, not against it.
Exactly. It also helps you manage things like caffeine intake more effectively and really prioritize sleep. You need to become energy rich to support becoming time rich. They go hand in hand.
Energy rich to become time rich.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. What about just feeling overwhelmed generally?
The advice is practical. Schedule your downtime just as seriously as your work time. Put rest, date nights, hobbies, relaxation in the calendar. Use those rigid boundaries. Turn off non-essential notifications. Maybe move distracting social media apps off your phone's home screen so they're not constantly pulling at your attention.
Make friction work for you, not against you.
Precisely. So, for you listening, take a moment. Are you actively protecting your time and energy? What boundaries could you start setting, maybe using some of these tactics? And looking ahead to tomorrow, what are the top few items, maybe just 3, that will go on your dominant list?
Okay, so let's try and bring this incredible journey from the book Become Time Rich all together. It really starts with that fundamental mindset shift, doesn't it? Moving away from the busy badge, valuing your time over just money.
Mm-hmm. That's the foundation.
Then you get laser focused on clarifying your definite purpose, your own personal North Star.
Knowing your why.
Exactly. And armed with that why, you ruthlessly eliminate the distractions, the commitments, the clutter that doesn't serve that purpose. You create essential space.
Subtraction first.
Right. And within that space you've created, you learn to apply leverage. Leveraging people through delegation, leveraging systems through automation and tech, leveraging capital through assets and investing, and leveraging partnerships.
Getting more done with less of your direct effort.
Achieving more by doing less, in a way. And finally, you protect this incredibly valuable time and energy you've reclaimed by prioritizing ruthlessly with something like a dominant list and setting firm boundaries, being easy to find but hard to reach.
Which enables you to intentionally go at the world, as the book says. Shape your life proactively instead of just reacting to it.
Yeah, and the consistent message woven through all these laws and tactics seems to be scaling your time is the real pathway. To scaling your wealth, yes, but also your impact, your fulfillment.
Don't get fixated only on making more money directly. Focus intently on creating more time, more freedom for yourself.
Yeah.
And the money, the wealth, it tends to follow as a natural result of applying these principles effectively.
But of course, just listening to this isn't enough, right? Implementing these ideas takes actual action, not just intellectual head nodding.
Absolutely. The book is packed with practical tactics and exercises for a reason. Writing your purpose essay, doing the 3 out of 10, creating your dominant list daily, identifying what to delegate or sell.
It really underlines that point the source material makes. Wealth is not an accident, but the result of applying a particular set of guiding financial principles to your behavior. You have to do the things.
Mm-hmm. Action is key.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps, the greatest leverage of all isn't just about acquiring personal wealth or freeing up your own time in isolation. Maybe it's the cumulative effect.
No.
The profound way that becoming truly time-rich empowers you to intentionally shape not only your own daily life, your own trajectory, but potentially the legacy you leave behind, the opportunities you can create for others. What could your time-rich life allow you to build that extends far, far beyond just yourself?
Wow. That's a truly powerful thought to leave us with, thinking beyond just personal gain to contribution and legacy. Thank you so much for sharing the source material with us, allowing us to take this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We sincerely hope this exploration gives you listening some clear pathways to start reclaiming your time, managing your energy, and intentionally building the truly rich life in every sense that you desire.
Keep exploring these ideas. Remember, applying even just 1 or 2 of these tactics consistently, that can start a really significant shift over time.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.